Welcome back to Nashira 2, a planet on the border of the Draconis Combine that is currently undergoing an invasion from the Federated Commonwealth as part of the War of 3039. And you know, there's a famous poet in the Federated Commonwealth that once said, "Stupid is as stupid does." And they might have been talking about Marshal Mira Tran when they said that. She's here tucked away behind a hill as she tries to atone for her sins in failing miserably to secure her landing zone and the spaceport at the city of Ogawa. She decided to set out with some of her most trusted advisors and take out the commander of this planetary militia on Nashira 2, failed once again, and now is being hunted by that militia and awaiting rescue from the 12th Vegan Rangers. They are on the way, but the question is, can they get there fast enough? And can they get Marshal Tran out of here before the Draconis Combine hunts her down? We're about to find out. There's the battlefield for our mission. This is mission number 2 in my Custom BattleTech Aces campaign. This one is called A Fool's Errand. And as I mentioned in the intro, we have Marshal Mira Tran here from the First FedCom RCT unit that has done nothing but fail since this invasion started. She has vastly underestimated the planetary militia, did not heed the warnings of Colonel Mitch Nelson from the 12th Vegan Rangers, and has suffered the consequences. This time, she decided to go out, try to take matters into her own hands behind the scenes. Unfortunately, her incompetence showed again, and now she's running away after losing 3 mechs from her own unit. She's now here awaiting rescue. We are now at May 16th, 15 days after this invasion started, and they have not captured the city of Ogawa, which was their very first task. As a quick recap of our last mission, in case you didn't see it, I would highly recommend you watch that video. It was very entertaining, I have to say so myself. Thanks to my utter lack of ability as a commander, it did make for an entertaining battle. So basically what happened was the 12th Vegan Rangers sent a small unit out to help the FedCom secure the spaceport, but basically everything that could go wrong did go wrong. The FedCom units, we had the Centurion here with Marshal Tran, and also a Javelin. They just hung back and waited. They let the 12th Vegan Rangers take the brunt of the attack, and several of the Rangers units got caught in a minefield, which damaged them and slowed them down. The commander for that smaller force was William Bullseye Allen, and like his namesake, he was treated as a bullseye, and this commander in the Panther from the Draconis Combine side popped his cockpit. Unfortunately, Bullseye is no longer with us, and at that point, things had gone so far south that the remaining units got themselves out of the battle and decided to save their strength for another day, and here we are. Now, they were not expecting to get in this battle, so this is kind of a waste of everyone's time when you think about it, but ultimately the Rangers decided that they do have to rescue the leader of the FedCom RCT. They are here to help the Federated Commonwealth, and allowing their leader to die in the middle of the woods is probably not going to be a good look. That's it. That's where things stand. And as I mentioned, this is part of the War of 3039. That's the time period that I'm using for my campaign. And more specifically, this is Operation Sturmhammer. And I'm going to leave you to figure out what the difference is between a war and an operation. I'll just leave it at that. I will introduce the forces in just a minute, but I'll give you some basic background here on how the mission is going to work. We have the Centurion over here with Marshal Tran. She's just going to chill here until one of the 12th Vegan Rangers units makes its way to within 6 inches of her. At that point, she will activate and she can start moving and trying to escape. There's her movement objective up there. She will be controlled by the Aces cards, just like in the last mission. The planetary militia, the Draconis Combine side, they're going to deploy up in the northwest. They're going to come on in turn 2. The 12th Vegan Rangers, these 2 mechs right here, are going to start on this side, and they're going to come in on turn 1 and get 1 round of movement in before the Combine comes on. And there is going to be a Shrek PPC carrier up here on this hill. It's going to stay there the entire mission until the end if it wants to try to escape. It's probably not a good idea for it to get out on the battlefield just because it's so slow. It's just going to offer some supporting fire from its little perch there. And the one little surprise that I put in here, I've scattered 4 random waypoints in the woods here. I wanted to get some surprise infantry into the battle. And I thought a cool way to do it would be, they're just conventional infantry, nothing special, but they're going to be hidden in the woods. But I don't know exactly where they went. So we're going to imagine that Colonel Mitch Nelson here gave commands to get the infantry into the woods just in case, but he doesn't know exactly where they went. So I'm playing as the commander, so I don't know exactly where they are. So 2 of these waypoints have an I and an F on them. Those are going to represent the infantry. So when the Draconis Combine enters one of these woods templates, that waypoint will be revealed. If it's an I or an F, the infantry will come out and they will go in base-to-base contact with that unit. And they will be able to act during the combat phase. That's how I'm going to do it. Let me know what you think about that. It was the best idea I could come up with to have just regular infantry actually mean something in the battle. I've been struggling with that a little bit, but I feel like this might be a cool way to do it because the aces do love to get in the woods. So I figure these waypoints are going to get flipped over at some point, but it's not a guarantee, and I don't know which woods to try to lead them into. All right, the track cost for this mission is 600 SP. It's very expensive, and I'm doing that to represent how foolish this whole thing was. On the 12th Vegan Ranger side, we are the attackers, even though we're running away. We have a primary objective and a secondary objective. The primary is called escape. Very simple. Marshal Mira Tran Centurion has to escape from the player's home edge, or the attacker's home edge. That's going to be over here. I have the movement objective out there. This is by any means necessary. It doesn't matter how much armor or structure she has left, how many critical hits she's taken. It doesn't matter. Even if she has 1 structure and she only has 2 inches of movement, if she gets off of the map, that completes the primary objective. Naturally, the Combine side has the opposite objective, which is to take her unit out, completely destroy it, not cripple it. Has to be completely destroyed before she gets off of the battlefield. And I should say that the attacker side, that primary objective is worth 400 support points. And the primary objective on the defender side, the Combine side, is 300 support points. Again, they're not going to be able to get as many points as they're spending here, and that is to represent that this really isn't a good use of their resources. The bonus on the attacker side is send a message. That is to destroy or cripple 75% or more of the defender's force. And the militia's secondary objective is to take out the commander unit. This Banshee, that is going to be a real tough one, 200 support points. We're playing with force withdrawal on both sides. So neither side is going to fight to the death here. This isn't worth it. So if somebody's in big trouble, they're going to force withdrawal and get off on their home edge. The attackers have a special rule called take a bullet. This is similar to the bodyguard thing that I did on the last one, where if a mech was within 2 inches of one of the vehicles, it would take the attack instead of the vehicle. I'm doing something similar here, but I want it to be actually in line of sight. So I'm going to use line of sight to determine if it's going to take the attack or not. Basically, if it provides at least partial cover to Marshal Tran's unit here, then it will take the attack from the Combine side instead of the Centurion. I told you about the ambush special rule for those waypoints with the infantry in them. I mentioned how to reveal them. It's just literally they go into the woods. It doesn't matter how much they go into them. If they go into that template and get the cover bonus, those waypoints will be revealed. The destroy objective is on the Centurion, so that will help prioritize it for the Combine side, but it's not a guarantee that they're going to attack it. Obviously, as a player, you probably would in all cases, but I think the way the Aces does it actually makes a little bit of sense, because if they just totally focus fire on it, they probably would take it out pretty quickly. So this just adds a little bit of variability in it. You don't know for sure that they're going to go for that destroy objective. I also have the movement objective up here. So the Centurion is going to prioritize that as its first movement instruction, trying to overlap it, which means escaping the edge, or at least trying to get closer to it. We're going to go with the kamikazes again on the Combine side. I'm making a slight adjustment to it. So all defender vehicles are going to attempt to charge any attacker unit within range as their first movement instruction, just like in the last mission. They will do their charge damage, and then they will detonate explosives for a damage value that's equal to their size. So if the Savannah Master does the charge, it will do normal charge damage, and then it can attempt to do a 1 damage explosion. I'm trying to match the amount of explosives they could legitimately have on the size of these units. Just like before, they have to roll to make the charge. If they are successful, both attacks are successful, so the charge itself and the explosion. If they miss the charge, they'll still make a roll to see if the explosions hit the unit. So kind of like they're skidding by or something. They didn't quite charge and hit into it, but the explosion might still damage the unit. So they'll make 2 separate attacks in that situation. And if those units do that and they detonate the explosions, they are destroyed. They are gone. They're out of the battle. They cannot be salvaged. There you go. That's the mission. I'm looking forward to this. I want to see how this one goes. I think I did an okay job in the last mission, but it was a little bit too heavily favored for the Combine side. We're going to try to get a little bit more balance this time. I don't know how it's going to go. This is my first time doing an escape mission in Alpha Strike. Looking forward to seeing how it goes. I'm cautiously optimistic it will be nice and balanced. If you watched my Between Tracks video, where I went through the repairs and the salvage and everything else. I did have the Combine hold the field in the last mission, and they got the first crack at salvage. I did this little negotiation thing where they traded some of their units for some of ours, and a couple commenters pointed out that that's probably not the way it should go. They held the field. They should have a crack at all the salvage, and I do agree with that. They pointed out that there is the option to ransom. That's in the Hinterlands book. I like that idea, and that's probably what I'm going to do. So they can ransom a couple of the units back to me. I have to pay for them, but it's really expensive. It's point value times 20. So a flea is like 400 points. I don't know if I'm going to do that, so I'm going to think about it. We'll just say it's kind of hanging in the balance now because this kind of interrupted all that administrative stuff. So I'm still thinking about how I want to handle that, because 700 whatever points for the 2 units I was thinking of ransoming is a little bit crazy, and they're already in the hole a bit. So we'll say this is going to go on. They're still waiting on that ransom amount. I've got the Aces cards ready. I'm doing basically the same thing as the last time. The Centurion's on the Brawler deck. The Panther's on the Sniper deck. The Jenner and the Galleon are on the Striker deck. The Maxim, the Savannah Master, and the 2 Warriors are on the Striker Hover deck. I think that's how I did it. All right, let me clean these up. The mechs are going to come off. All these units are going to come off. And then we're going to get started on round 1, which will just be movement. The Combine won't be out there yet. So I'll show you where I move, and then we'll get right into round 2. There are the units on the good guys side, the 12 Vegan Rangers, right? We're the good guys, I think. We've got a Banshee 3S. That's the commander, Mitch Nelson. He's had enough. He's getting himself into the fray here. He's going to straighten things out. That is a beastly mech. 8 armor, 8 structure. Pretty high damage for this era. 4 damage from short and medium, 2 from long. We got a Hatchet Man 3F, thanks to our relationship with the Federated Sons and the Federated Commonwealth. We got a Shrek PPC carrier. That's just going to chill up there on the hill and offer some supporting fire. And then we got 2 points of infantry that are going to hide in the woods and hopefully give a little surprise to the Combine. There are the cards on the FedCom and 12th Vegan Rangers side. Pretty small force. We got the Centurion with Marshal Mira Tran. Pretty good mech. Got its weapon repaired. What's real important in this mission, though, is the armor and structure. There's the Banshee, the Hatchet Man, the Shrek. And then the commander was able to piece together a little bit of artillery. We're going to have 2 Thumper cards available during the combat phase. Sorry, I did forget to show the conventional infantry that's hiding in the woods. It's just the standard crap I always use, nothing special. Just really, really basic. The Draconis Combine is back with its ragtag group of mostly combined arms. We got a Panther 9R with the commander again. Headshot at a rifleman in the last mission. Got a nice little skill upgrade, so that's going to be a skill of 3. Going to be dangerous. We got a Jenner 7D. We got a Maxim hover tank. We got a Galleon, and we've got a Savannah Master flying in the skies. We got 2 Warrior H7 VTOLs. It's an interesting force. Doesn't do a ton of damage. Got some good speed, though, and all they need to do is take out that FedCom unit. They don't have to worry about the Banshee if they don't want to. Here are the cards on the Combine side if you're interested. We got the Panther, the Commander with that skill upgrade. There's the Jenner, pretty good mech, pretty fast, does some decent damage. The Galleon, which we had in the last mission, the Maxim, the Savannah Master, and then we got 2 of these Warriors. You know, plinking away at the armor, but it's got enough to take that Centurion out if they can focus fire and if they can hit successfully. Let's find out what happens. All right, and obviously I'm just going to treat it like I won initiative. It doesn't matter. They're not on the map. So there's where my units moved. I just sprinted them both this way. I don't know why I marked them with dice. It doesn't matter. They're not participating in combat, but that just lets me know that I measured it and officially checked it out. So that's where they went on this round. And now we will start round 2 with the Aces getting involved. All right, let's roll up initiative. Obviously, green are the Rangers, red are the Combine. No bonuses right now. Wow. Okay, we're off to a good start. We win initiative. A couple of commenters mentioned they'd like to see more of the Aces cards when I move the units. I will show that, but for this round, it's not going to be too interesting. They both just want to try to get eyes on the nearest target, which is the Centurion. The Panther can't do it, so it's more or less just moving. It wants to get in the woods, but I'm not going to do that because that's not in the interest of the mission. So they're just going to move straight out. And then the Warrior moved 4 inches vertically and then came out 14 inches this way. It will have some amount of line of sight to the Centurion because it is up over these hills. So it should be able to see part of her. It probably will get some partial cover in the way, but it at least has an opportunity to attack her during the combat phase. Okay, I need to move 1 unit now. Like a good commander, I'm having my Shrek stand still and using it as an initiative sink and making the aces move a couple more units. Let me show you the card this time. We got the striker here. This is the Jenner. It's not going to use aggressive movement because the ideal red is the destroy objective, which has not moved yet. Again, hasn't moved. Going all the way to cautious, going to pull the nearest target, which would be the Centurion. It wants to be able to attack the target when it's done moving. It won't be able to do that. So the next instruction is to get in the fewest enemy targeting ranges as possible. We have no unmoved enemies in 18 inches. That won't be a problem. Occupy the woods is lower in the priority list, and then cover, of course. A lot of times those are the default movements, but I'm thinking I can take it up this way and get it somewhere around this hill to keep it out of line of sight from the Shrek. I mean, I could also go this way, which might be the better move because that'll take it out of line of sight from the Banshee and the Hatchet Man. That might be the better call there because now that I'm thinking about it, if it's here, it's going to have these woods and these woods in the way from the Shrek because that's only one level high, so to speak, or 1 inch high. So it's going to see through these woods as well. That's going to be too many woods to shoot through. So I think the Jenner will go about the same place as the Warrior. It'll go about there. And the Jenner might be a good sneak attack. It might be able to come down this way, jump over the water, and get here to the Centurion coming in from the other side. Maybe it'll end up going that way, but I think that's its best position. Okay, Jenner gets a TMM of 3. Not that it's going to matter. All right, let me show you another card here. So we have the Savannah Master, which has 26-inch hover movement. Again, the ideal yellow hasn't moved. That would be the Banshee, the most armor. So it's going to go to cautious like the other ones. Ground movement. Once they get line of sight to the target, that's going to be the nearest target, which is the Centurion. And then it wants, which it actually can do, then it wants, again, the fewest enemy attack ranges. So I measured it. It can get somewhere in this area. The next one's a little trickier because it wants to be in the fewest attack ranges. Now, if it goes here, this is more than 6 inches of woods right here, so that Shrek can't attack it. And it can use this little bump here, hopefully you can see that, to block one of these units. It can't quite block both of them, but if I get my trusty laser line, you'll see like the Hatchet Man's a little bit to the side there, but to the Banshee, that is blocking line of sight, which is probably the better one to block, even though they haven't moved yet. So I think that's where it's going to end up going. And that means if this thing survives this round, it will for sure attempt to crash into something on the next round. All right, there's the next set of movement. The Galleon and the desert-colored Warrior went, and nothing real exciting. This position's probably a little bit better, but it's going to have the same thing. Going to have a little bit of partial cover in the way, but likely will have a shot. So now I have an interesting decision to make because I could sprint these to get closer, but I might want them within line of sight of these things, maybe to take out the Savannah Master, but also to potentially take that bridge out. The Banshee can do it in one shot. And that could help me, at least for the mechs, because that would force them to use jumping, which makes it harder for them to hit things. I'm not sure how much that would benefit us, but it sounds kind of smart to keep those mechs at bay. They're going to be the most difficult thing to deal with as far as killing the Centurion. I'm going to have to measure this out, though, to see if I were to just use ground movement for the Hatchet Man, could it sprint and get within 6 inches? I think it can. If that's the case, then I'll probably just use regular movement. Same with the Banshee. I would like the Banshee to get as close as possible, though, because it can get in the way of shots. I also think we're going to have to figure out a way to get rid of this thing, because if that goes to crash into her, that would be bad. But luckily, next round, she should be moving. Maybe we can get the Savannah Master to go before she does. All right, decided to take the Hatchet Man there. I measured it out. This is less than 14 inches between them. So by moving 8 inches here, I can activate it and still be able to attack on the next round. So I'm good with that move. Gives it a little bit of partial cover and in the trees to the Savannah Master. Not that I need to worry about it. I think it only does 1 damage, and it might only be from short range. Nope, it can do it from medium too, so whatever. At least it got an extra modifier for that. Now the Maxim's up. Maxim has a bit of an interesting card here. It wants to go to balanced here. The ideal blue, which is a destroy objective, has moved, but it's not able to attack it when it's done moving. I measured it out. I tried to take it here. Still has this in the way, so it's not going to be able to make that attack. There's really no way. It doesn't have enough movement like the Savannah Master to get out there to attack it. So it's going to have to go into cautious like the other ones. Can't attack it. Can definitely get no unmoved enemies in 12. And no moved enemies attack range. So I'm thinking I can bring it out as close to here as possible and get it behind this to just protect it from those. It's going to have the same protection from the woods as the other units, and the Shrek won't be able to shoot through it. Can't really move as far as I'd hoped. I think it can only go to about right there. If I measure that out, yeah, just about right there, maybe a little bit further. That is going to protect it from, obviously, the Centurion. It might be enough from the Shrek. That's about 6 inches. So that should be okay. It's protecting it from the Hatchet Man. Looks like it's protecting it from the Banshee as well. So it should be good to go there. It's not going to be able to be attacked. Of course, it can't attack either, but that's okay. All right, there's the movement. Move the commander up here. Has very little movement, only 6 inches. It's probably going to get left behind here and get swarmed and go down in a blaze of glory, or survive and be totally awesome, as the commander should be. I double-checked the rules. This actually has a CF of 6. So that would require me to shoot at it with both of my units, and I don't know that I really want to do that. So I think I'll see what happens here. They don't have a whole lot they can do, but I'll have to see if that's worth it, or if we want to just take the Savannah Master out, or at least try to get one hit on it and try to get a motive hit or something to slow it down. But let's get into combat. The Draconis Combine side will go first. The militia commander is up first. He says, "Oh, you bring another commander for me to kill. I like this. Gonna take aim at the Banshee way off in the distance. Let's do a zoom shot there. Let's go. Sniper mode, engaged." The numbers actually aren't that bad. It's just a 9, but it can only do 1 damage from long range. But you know what? This pilot is an ace. Could easily pop the cockpit on this thing in 1 shot. All right, Mr. Panther, do you have another one in you? Need 9s with that partial cover and long range. Here it goes. That skill of 3 is helping. Ah, no luck. The Red Warrior, inspired by its commander, wants to take a really long shot and go after the Shrek all the way over there. Let's do another sniper zoom mode. Here we go. Excellent camera work there. Way off in the distance. Really hard to do line of sight with these things because they're sitting above where they're actually on the peg. So it's a little bit difficult to actually figure out what it can hit. Can't quite see the Centurion. And anyways, it wants to target this regardless. So that's what it's going for. It's not going to be an easy shot. It only has a 50% chance of actually doing 1 damage. It has the 0 with the star. So I got to make an attack roll to hit and then see if it does any damage. Okay, Red VTOL has a nice clear line to the Shrek. Needs an 8 to hit. It's successful. Now we're going to roll 1d6 to see if it actually does any damage. A 1, 2, or 3 does no damage. A 4, 5, or 6 does 1 damage. It gets it. So 1 damage to the Shrek. This is going to be a motive hit, although it doesn't matter. It's not going to move. It's still got 1. So that's going to be, I think that's minus 2 inches of movement. So if that thing eventually wants to get off the map, it's only down to 4 inches of movement now. The Savannah Master playing the GTFO way. Get the you-know-what objective. Going after Mira Tran and the Centurion. Just going to need 7s for this attack, but only does 1 damage. Here we go. Let's see if we get the first damage on the destroy objective. Just needs 7s. 1 damage. Misses. The Desert Camo Warrior is up next. The Maxim and the Galleon can't attack anything. They don't have anything within attack range. You guys need to tell me. If I go up here and we'll say this is 4 inches, can it attack the Centurion? Is that 1/3 of the miniature? I'm going to go ahead and say yes, because it technically was supposed to move these things to where they could attack it, and I thought they could from here. So I'm going to go ahead and let this one do it. The red one definitely can. It has that the higher hill there in the way. So we'll say the desert one can attack it. Going to have partial cover, but just going to need a 7 to attack this thing. All right, this is medium range, so it actually can do 1 damage at this range. Just needs a 7. Got it. 1 damage to the Centurion. Not good. There we go. Centurion took 1 pip from one of the warriors. The Shrek took another pip from the other warrior and also took a motive hit, but it's just standing still anyway. So not a huge deal. Let's see what the 12 Vegan Rangers and potentially Marshal Tran can do as a response. This was such a good idea. I just got unlucky. That's all it is. I just got unlucky. Oh, what are those? A Savannah Master? Oh, I don't think they'll try to crash into me like that horrid thing did at the spaceport. I'm gonna go for these pesky helicopters over here. This is at medium range. 4 for her skill, 4 for the VTOL's TMM, 2 for medium range. Doesn't have any woods cover because it's flying above those woods, and no partial cover because vehicles can't get it. 3 chances to get a 10. Let's do this. Yes, she got 1. She's not completely incompetent. Way to go. That is going to strip all its armor. It gets a motive hit with a +2 on it. Ugh. You know, why did I say she's not incompetent? Why do I jinx myself? All right, the Shrek has very limited options due to the Commander's wonderful decision to place it on the level 1 side of the hill so that it has to shoot through these woods at practically everything. So it too is going to go for one of the warriors. I think it's just going to go for the desert one since that's the one that Marshal Tran hit. Going to be 11s to hit this thing. Like the Centurion, the Shrek does 3 damage at this range. This is long range, still does 3 damage. Gonna need 11s. Can we get one? Not even close, really. Phenomenal power at my fingertips. What shall I use it on? I know. These little guys. Great idea. Well, I decided that attacking the bridge probably isn't the best use of the firepower here. Yeah, maybe it would slow down the Panther and the Galleon, but I don't really think it's worth wasting this turn taking that out. It's not going to make that big of a difference. So let's just attack that Savannah Master. Let's just take away the chance that it does 2 damage to something by exploding. Let's go for it. Going to be 9s, that's it. So I think it makes sense to give this a shot. The Banshee does 4 damage at medium range. The Colonel's stepping in, ready to straighten this mess out. The Savannah Master only has 2 pips, 1 armor, 1 structure. So if it hits 2 of these, it's gone. But we know if it's not gone, it will definitely charge something on the next round. Here we go, 4 damage coming in. Needs 9s. Do this, Commander. Oh, that is looking good. That is looking good. That's a 3. That sucker is gone. Bye-bye. We're going for some Mech Warrior 2 level special effects here. You know, if you hit that Savannah Master, it blows up like a nuclear bomb. Look at that. Look at those dice. It looks just like an explosion. There it is. There's the damage on our side. The Savannah Master is gone. That was good that we were able to take that thing out. The Warrior takes 1 pip. The Hatchet Man has nothing to shoot at now. It can't hit from long range. All right, we're all cleaned up. I think that was a pretty good round for our side. Things are going to get real interesting now because that Maxim's going to be able to come out here and definitely get some shots. The Warrior's going to be able to get in range. A lot of things will be attacking the Centurion. The Galleon and the Panther might be tricky for them to get in line of sight. The Galleon should be able to do it. The Jenner, I don't really know what it's going to do. If it has enough jumping, it can try to get up here. That probably would be a good move for it. The problem is, and one of the things I didn't mention for the rules, is the Centurion's not allowed to sprint. There's no sprinting. It has to just use ground movement, which I wanted to do anyway because I wanted to attack. But it's going to be fairly slow to get off the map here. I think it's going to take at least 4 rounds to actually make its way to the objective. So it should get interesting. On the commander card, if I flip it over, I'm going to check if there's anything we need to change here. If you lost more point value worth of units this turn, they did. They lost the Savannah Master. Going to switch over to command card C when they're using force withdrawal, which nobody is. So that's not really going to come into play. But they do have force withdrawal in play in this mission, so there is a possibility we'll see that. Let's get into round 3. I almost said round 2, but we had that one little round where we were able to come on the map before they did. Here we go. We won initiative last time, so we're getting a -2. That is 8-7. We still win, so they have to go first. So now we've got 6 units on their side, 4 units on our side. So they're going to go 2 for 1 a couple of times, then we'll do 1 for 1. All right, the Panther and the Red Warrior were up first. The Panther doesn't have a lot of options because nothing is moved. So it wants to pick the nearest target under cautious movement and be able to attack it. It really can't, but I took it as far this way as I could to try to peek it around this hill here, because that's kind of where she's going to end up going. I'm not saying I'm making decisions based on where I'm going to end up moving, but logically, that's the direction she's going to go, so that might give it a chance to hit her. The Warrior wanted to maintain 18 inches from her, and so I just took it this way over the bridge rather than coming in this way, if you're wondering why it's there. It's actually not a bad spot because it'll be able to react to where she goes pretty decently, and so it can get in a good position next round for sure, but it will definitely be able to attack her this round as well. I think I'm just going to sink the Shrek for now. All right, the Jenner moved. It had to go into cautious movement because there's no moved enemies within 24 inches. Its first instruction is no line of sight to any enemies. I'm going to override that because the mission parameters, come on. It can't hide. That's not going to work. So it wants to get about 18 inches from the target, occupy woods or get cover. Originally, I was thinking it could come this way. The problem is it doesn't have a get line of sight to the target instruction. I think I'm just going to have to tell it does, because otherwise it's just going to hide, and I don't want it to do that. So I was thinking I could bring it here. I could get it to about right here, which would let it see over this lower level hill, and if she went this way, it could attack her. But if it jumps up here, it can see her no matter where she goes. So I think I'm just going to golden rule this and just have it jump up on top there. I hate to jump because it's going to make it hard for them to hit anything, but I feel like if I go here, that's an easy one for her to get away from. She can just kind of go up this way a little bit. And so I want to make it more difficult on her to make a move. All right, the Desert Warrior was up next. It just wants to make sure it doesn't have an unmoved unit within 12 inches. So right about here is perfect. That keeps it out of the Centurion's range. If it went a little farther this way, these would start to come into play for that 12 inches. So I think that's a pretty good spot for it to go. They have so much movement. They don't have to worry about any terrain. So they can get to just about anywhere she is on the next turn. They're probably going to get into her rear unless they have to go first. All right, I debated for a minute, but I want either the Banshee or the Centurion to go last. So I moved the Hatchet Man to here. That is about 5 inches away. The Centurion has activated and it will be able to move now. And for example, she could move herself like directly behind it, like right about here, and that would block. So that would let the Hatchet Man take the damage from the Jenner and the Warrior. I'll think about that in a minute, depending on where everything else moved. The Maxim is up next. It's another one that's going to cautious movement because the ideal yellow, which is the destroy objective, hasn't moved yet. And it wants the nearest target, which is still her, but it wants to get no line of sight to all enemies, which I'm not going to do. It's going to get line of sight to her, try to target her. It wants to get intervening woods from as many other enemies as possible. So I'm thinking I can move it somewhere around here to get some woods from the Shrek and from both of these units. So if it gets somewhere around here, of course, that does leave it kind of open to the Banshee, so I might end up putting it like here. So it gets it from this and this and the Banshee, but the Shrek will be open, but that's okay. It does less damage. That might be the way to go. All right, so that's where the Maxim ended up going. I did the best I could. I decided to move the Centurion at this point. I can get it right behind the Hatchet Man. I feel bad. The Hatchet Man could get lit up this round, but I got to protect her on this first round. There's a lot of things that can shoot at her. It does not have a lot of armor or structure, and that Maxim's getting close. The Maxim does have a decent amount of armor and structure. It's unlikely it'll be destroyed this round. We're gonna have to try to get a motive hit, I think. There is the final movement. The Galleon wanted to be able to attack the Centurion, which it can do, even though the Hatchet Man's gonna end up taking the damage. And then for the Banshee, I just got it around this and I put it right out in the open. Wanted to take that partial cover away from the Maxim. I've got to try to take that thing out before it really causes a problem. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but this is the best chance. It's going to be an interesting round. We're probably going to all focus on the Maxim, and they're going to be able to focus and maybe even take down that Hatchet Man. Hatchet Man has 3 armor, 4 structure. It could be dicey here this round. The commander of this militia wants to continue to engage in honorable combat. It wishes to attack the Banshee again. It is the only unit within 24 inches that it can see. This time it's in medium range, so we'll do 2 damage. Should we do the sniper cam again? What the heck? There it is. You know what? I like the sniper cam. I'm in on it every time now until you guys tell me to stop it. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, Panther does 2 damage at medium range. Going to be on 7s, 3 for its skill, 1 for the TMM of the Banshee, 2 for medium range, and 1 for the partial cover from the bridge. 7s it is. Here we go. Gets 1 of those. This thing has 8 armor. Just does 1 pip. All right, the red VTOL is up. It wants to attack the red command list, which is the destroy objective. Here's the thing. We're going to go up and over. From this angle, I would say that I don't think that Hatchet Man is providing partial cover. So I think it can attack the Centurion. This is the only unit that will be able to do that. The rest, it was able to successfully get it in the way. But I think for this one, it's got a pretty clear shot on the Centurion. I am going to give it the woods cover, though. So this is going to be an 8 to hit for 1 damage for medium range. Oh, boy. Here we go. Here we go. Here come the flashbacks. All right. That's a 12. That's 1 pip plus a critical hit. Ugh. Am I going to do it again? Are they going to blow the cockpit and end this mission super early? Oh my God, I got so nervous. All right, just a fire control hit, but that sucks. The Jenner is up. It has the whole battlefield to look at. Technically, it could go for either the Centurion or the Banshee. Here's where things get weird. It wants the lowest TMM. Now, do I say that it's trying to attack the Centurion, but the Hatchet Man's in the way, so it's actually a 2 TMM, so it's going to go for the Banshee, or do I say, that's fine, it's trying to go for the Centurion, that's what it should do? I think I'm going to have it attack the Banshee. I don't know if that sounds right, but it would only be 9s to hit it versus 10s. I think it probably should attack the Banshee. I don't know. Let me know what you think.
Yes, Commander. I will follow your lead. Attack the Banshee. Got it. Kill the commander.
9s it is. Dang it, they got another one. Good thing we don't have an edge that could bump that one. All right, I realize I'm being an idiot. I'm not going to add the Hatchet Man's TMM. It's attacking the Centurion. So it uses the 1 TMM. It's just the Hatchet Man takes the damage. So I'm going to walk that back. The 1 pip goes to the Hatchet Man, not the Banshee. That's who it should have attacked. All right, this warrior's attacking. Just needs 7s, no cover. Does 1 damage from medium range. Here we go. Got it. Hatchet Man takes another one. The Galleon's up next. It actually wants the Hatchet Man, not the Centurion. So I'm going to attack the Hatchet Man. We got to loop up around the trees here. Going to need 9s to hit this. Only does 1 pip from medium range. Can the Galleon strip the armor from this Hatchet Man? No, it cannot. Last up is the Maxim shooting through the trees at the Centurion. The Hatchet Man will take the damage. It's going to be 8s. It does 2 damage from medium range. This will be bad if it hits both. It will go into structure. Let's roll this up. 8s it is. Does another one. Takes all the armor from the Hatchet Man. There is the damage on this round. I guess we did okay, but I'm getting a little bit concerned. For a second, I stopped and I thought, wait a minute, should I have considered the Shrek for that one that wanted to do the lowest TMM? But that was the Jenner, and the Jenner's too far away. It was outside of 24 inches, so it would not have considered the Shrek, just the Banshee Hatchet Man and the Centurion. Okay, so the Banshee took 1 pip from the Panther. The Centurion took 1 pip and a critical hit from the Warrior. The Hatchet Man took 3 pips of damage, I think, from 1 from the Maxim, 1 from the Warrior, and then was it 1 from the Galleon? In any case, it took 3 pips of damage. All right, the commander is up first. I apologize if my audio was being weird. I realized the microphone wasn't connected. Oops. You're probably going to hear all kinds of stuff from my kids. My bad. All right, I just realized the Banshee, I could have moved it up a little closer and gotten it in short range to this Maxim, but I didn't because I'm dumb. So it's going to be 8s to hit the Maxim. Going to be doing 4 damage. Maxim's got quite a bit of armor and structure for a hover tank. Got to do some damage here. Got to slow this thing down. Colonel Nelson is like, I live for killing hover tanks, baby. Let's go. 8s, 4 chances. Oh, yes, that is looking fantastic. Maybe Colonel Nelson's going to be my next Ember. Wow, okay, 3 damage and a critical hit. Pink, going to be the motive hit with a +1. Green, going to be the critical hit. Let's do this. Oh, not enough for a motive hit. That's too bad. That's going to bump to a 6, which I think, the green, sorry, is going to bump up to a 6, which I think is just a weapon hit. Ugh. Yeah, unfortunately just a weapon hit, but that took all the armor away. So if the Centurion or the Hatchet Man can do some damage on it, we'll get another critical try. Get another chance to blow this thing up. That's right, that's right. You take the bullets for me. We're paying you. You take the damage. You get killed, not me. Got it? All right, Marshal Tran, I'm going to go after the Maxim, looking for the highest starting armor within 24 inches, and that would be the Maxim. Almost everything else has 2 or 1. Now, if you were curious, when I'm doing the Aces movement, I didn't really mention this at the beginning, but obviously the card doesn't say, go hide behind another mech. But I'm using the Fleeing card, and what I'm doing is, obviously it has to get closer to the escape edge, and then I'm using this one, no line of sight to all enemies, and I'm treating that as, get out of line of sight of all enemies. You can do that by hiding behind another mech. That's just kind of how I'm treating that. So that's why she went where she did. Also, we are in Command Card B for my side of the Aces, but I'm not doing this add 2 to your initiative roll. I'm not going to do that, just for the enemy side. Not great numbers here. Going to need 10s, but gets 3 chances from medium range to do it. Let's get a 10 here. Come on, Mira Tran. Holy crap. Wow. All of a sudden, the dice are going in my favor. That is 2. That's going to be double criticals and a motive hit. Unbelievable. She is coming alive. Maybe she's not as bad as we thought. All right, the purple is going to be the motive with a +1. The other 2 are critical hits. Let's get an 11 here. Oh my God, I actually did get it. There it is. All right, they got an 11, which is a crew killed in the last one. I got it this time. So that would be, it would have lost 2 inches of movement, which wasn't too bad, and 1 TMM. The green is 10, which is another weapon hit, but the pink is an 11, which is the crew killed. Let me show you the chart. There it is, number 11, crew killed. The unit crew is killed. The unit is treated as destroyed. Remove it from play. Wow, those dice are rolling in my favor tonight. That is probably going to make it real hard for them to beat us this time. Okay, Hatchet Man now, on that note, is going to go for the Jenner, lowest TMM. I'm just going to try to take a little bit of armor away from it. These are going to be 8s, does 2 damage at medium range. Roll it up. Holy cow, what is going on here? That's 2 damage to the Jenner. That's all its armor. All right, the Shrek is up, has a lot of options this time because things are up high. I think this time it's going to go for the Panther. Maybe not the best decision, but we got a chance to hit it. That probably does the most damage, I think, at medium range at this point. And I guess the Jenner too, but the Jenner's in bad shape. But I think I'm going to go for the Panther. It's going to be 9s shooting through the woods. Maybe this isn't the greatest move, but with the way I'm rolling, I got this mission in the bag. All right, let's do it. 9s, 3 chances. Okay, just got 1 to the Panther. Wow, what a round for the 12th Vegan Rangers. Colonel Mitch Nelson inspiring everyone, including Marshal Mira Tran, who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in the last mission, but suddenly now can blast everything, blows away the Maxim. AC-10 pops the crew, splatters blood everywhere inside of that tank. That thing is gone. Could be some yummy salvage if we end up holding the field, which is starting to look pretty good as a chance right now. Jenner takes 2 damage. Panther takes 1 damage. Let's go. And you know what? We're feeling lucky. Let's go for these thumpers. We're going to throw 2 of them on that Panther. Just got to roll 7s to hit them. They do a 2-inch area of effect, but that's okay. Let's see if we can just do 2 more damage to that Panther. There we go. Need 7s each. Got them both. Panther's down to no armor. Crazy. What a round for us. I cleaned up all the dice. We're going to switch it up to card C for the Combine side because there is an enemy with no armor. So we're going to B. That's going to give us the move last token on our highest medium damage unit and followed by the highest point value, which is actually going to be the Jenner. I guess the Jenner is really pumped up because of the speed. So it's going to get the move last token. Not sure how much that's really going to matter. And just in case you're wondering, the point value for this battle is identical. I think it was 132 each. Now, I gave myself a couple of thumpers. Maybe I didn't really need those. Maybe that's tipping the scales a little my way, but I think it's mostly the dice that are tipping the scales my way. I mean, wow, I'm basically hitting just about everything I throw at them. What I'm bummed about is I don't think we're going to see the infantry come out. I honestly think we're going to kill these mechs before they get anywhere near the woods. I did not expect this to happen. I thought we'd be missing quite a bit right now, and then everything would get kind of close, but I don't know. Maybe my mission design isn't so great. It sounds good when I come up with it, but I don't know. Maybe I skew things a little bit too much my way this time. I guess Mr. Dirkson's not going to ask me to help with the next Aces box. Let's roll initiative. I get another -2. All right, they win this time, so we have to go first. So right now it's 4-4. It's just 1 for 1 in terms of movement. All right, exciting moment. I had the Shrek sit still to sync that initiative. The Warrior wanted the Banshee and wanted to get out of line of sight from as many things as possible, which is hard to do with a VTOL, but I took it over here. It also wanted to be about 18 inches from the Banshee, which I think I got, but it went here, went down to 1 inch off the ground. And so it has this in the way from the Shrek. It has this in the way from these two. So I think I actually managed to find the perfect location for it. Wasn't easy, but I think I got that. Anyway, the exciting part is that the Galleon wanted the Shrek. It went to balanced movement. The only moved target was the Shrek. And it wanted to get in the fewest enemy attack ranges. I mean, I guess I could put it here. The problem with that, though, is it can't attack the Shrek. It has to go through too many woods to do that. So I think it has to come out over the bridge, and thematically it makes more sense anyway to try to take out the destroy objective. And as you go down here, no unmoved enemies within 12 inches. I think it's good there with the Banshee and occupy the woods. So I believe it would go in there. I'm going to measure the Banshee real quick. All right, it's not quite, but it's really, really close. It's about 11 something inches. We're going to go with it for theme, for fun. I set up these rules. I mean, I want to use them, right? It's okay. I think it's close enough. And honestly, being in the woods there is probably a good place for it. And because of that, it's in the woods. We're going to flip this token over. If it's an I or an F, one of my infantry units comes out. It's an F. There it is. Okay, one of the infantry comes out. It goes in base-to-base contact with that vehicle. And it can act in the combat phase. All right, there we go. Exciting. I couldn't go this whole mission without that being triggered at least once. All right, I moved the Banshee up here straight into the woods. I'm just putting it out in the open here. It's got 2 overheat. Not much to lose at this point. Nothing can really hurt it too bad unless it gets a crazy critical hit. So let's go for it. Let's try to wipe these guys off the board. The Desert Warrior was next. It wanted the Banshee and it wanted to get 24 inches away from it. So I put it way up in that direction. It's off camera, but it's way up at the top of the map there. I will show you that a little bit later when we come to combat. And not a terrible move. I mean, it keeps it at medium range. It makes it hard to hit because those things have a 4 TMM because they're airborne. You know, it's hard for us to take it out, but it's not going to be very useful to take out the destroy objective. But for right now, I don't think it's a horrible move. All right, Centurion moved out to here into partial cover. I'm not sure if the Hatchet Man necessarily wants to be in its way. I mean, the Banshee's definitely in its way, probably for that Warrior right now. We'll see about the Jenner, where it ends up going. The Panther wanted to target something within 18 inches, which was the infantry, and the Banshee. It wants the lowest structure, that'd be the infantry. All right, there's our final movement. I just took the Hatchet Man this way and sprinted it. Just going to try to get it out of here in one piece. I'm remembering back to my repairs and how much stuff I had to do because things had been destroyed and taken a lot of critical damage. So I just want to get that thing out of here. The Jenner, I had to fudge it a little bit because it wanted to target the Banshee. You know, this is where the aces with this destroy objective, I don't feel like it does a real great job because as soon as this gets out of a certain range, they just don't even look at it anymore. And that was the case with the Jenner. It wants, because I moved the Banshee forward, it wants it, and it wants to isolate it and only have it in line of sight. And based on what we're trying to do here, that's just not a good move. It does not want to go toe-to-toe with the Banshee. I know it's hard to work a lot of different types of logic in here, but I mean, just realistically, that is a very, very bad move. So I decided to jump it back here, keep it out of line of sight of the Banshee, which has moved, and then it will have line of sight to the Centurion. Golden ruling that one. I know the golden rule can take care of all this, but I hope in the future boxes, they do find some ways for it to evaluate a little bit of logic. I know there are sometimes it says, hey, if your armor is higher than the damage rating of any unit, maybe a few more things like that to say, hey, if this unit that you're targeting has way more armor than you, way more damage than you, it's best to avoid that. Maybe go on and find a different target that's a little bit better. I don't know. But hopefully that golden rule makes sense to you. They will probably survive this round, but they might have to think about potentially surrendering here. I think at this point, if I'm controlling their force, there's really little chance they're going to win here. I mean, they can try to take out the Centurion, which honestly, it's not impossible for them to do that. I mean, they could get it into bad shape on this round, but I think for the most part, it's a lost cause, and they might have to be realistic here. This isn't really their path to victory in this war.
Swarm him, boys! Get on top, kill everything! The infantry are going to make an anti-mech attack, although you can do this against vehicles as well. Basically, I'm going to roll for one attack. If it hits, it does its short-range damage, which is 1, and then it also inflicts a critical hit, potentially 2 if it happens to roll a 12. Not going to be easy, though. Conventional infantry have a +3 modifier to this attack. All right, unfortunately, I think this is going to be a 10. It's a 4 for their skill, +2 TMM for the galleon, +1 for the woods, and then +3 for the anti-mech attack. So that's going to be a 10. Hey, we're rolling hot here. Let's go. Well, on that note, Marshal Tran is going to go ahead and take her Centurion and fire at the galleon there in the woods. I do like an alpha strike that I can change my mind before things happen. That is very useful. She's going to be doing 3 damage here at medium range. Going to be 9s to hit. Good thing I marked these things with dice. Forgot it has a fire control hit. These are going to be 11s to hit. Oh boy, 11s. Holy cow, she is doing amazing today. Gets 1 hit. I just can't get over how weird those yellow dice look. Anyway, just 1, almost got 2. But that's going to be a motive hit for the galleon. Let's roll this up. No modifier. That's 6. That is nothing. All right, the commander, Colonel Mitch Nelson, also going to fire at the galleon in the woods. He's kind of chuckling to himself that he came in here trying to save the day, and now he's just spending his time killing ground pounders. He's going to overheat by 2. What the heck? Do 6 damage here for medium range. Let's go. 6 damage. Just needs 8s. If we get 3 of these, this thing is dead. Got 1. I think we only got 2 out of all that. Ugh, that's unfortunate. But maybe the Shrek can take it out. All right, got to roll these up. I'll use my white dice, my yellow white dice. Those will be the motive hit, and the green will be the critical hit on the galleon, which has 1 pip of structure left. It is in force withdrawal. Okay, no motive hit, a 4. That is a fire control hit on the galleon. All right, the Shrek would love to shoot the Panther and try to put another thing in force withdrawal. Unfortunately, just too many woods there.
in between it and the Panther. Not going to work. More than 6 inches, so it's going to shoot at the galleon as well. Does 3 damage, also needs 8s. All right, here we go. Can we take the galleon out for the second time? Yes, my rolling is absolutely amazing. The galleon is done, second mission in a row. All right, not too much to talk about. Galleon's dead. Everything shot at it, finally killed it. Bye-bye, galleon. All right, this warrior's up. Can't really get behind it for line of sight. It's going to shoot at the Centurion. Even though it wanted the Banshee at first, it is now going to go for the Centurion. It needs a 9 to hit, can do 1 damage here. Does not get it. This warrior way far away from the Centurion. Looks really far, but it's actually 23 3/4 inches. It's going to attack it as well. Just going to need 8s to hit. This one is still flying high, doesn't have any woods in the way. Just needs an 8. Gets it. 1 more to the Centurion. The Jenner wisely jumping to this spot instead of trying to tangle with the Banshee. Going to fire at the Centurion there in the distance. You know, we haven't had a sniper cam in a while. Let's go. Target acquired. Unfortunately, terrible numbers here. Needs 11s. Ooh, got a 10, but not quite. You know, it's just so funny how hot and cold my rolling is. Like, I just can't roll anything for them. Nothing high. All right, the Panther, the commander, also going for the destroy objective. Being smart here, was going to go for the infantry, but going for the blue list, anything within 24 inches, that's going to be the Centurion. Can it do anything with its last gasp attempt here? Commander's got good numbers, just needs 7s here. Gonna need a critical hit to really do something, though. Oh, wow. Man, it's just one of those days for the other side. All right, got the dice all cleaned up. We're gonna switch back to command card C here because they lost more point value again this round. Here's where things stand with the Centurion. It's got 3 armor gone, still has 2 left, 4 structure. It would basically take all of them hitting every single one of their damage in order to take the Centurion out. I mean, it's not impossible, but I feel like at this point you'd have to be smart and just say, are we really going to risk losing our 2 mechs, really the only 2 mechs they have right now? I mean, they do have the riflemen in reserve, that is true, but I don't know if that really would make sense for them. Let me think about it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, everything could kind of swarm it and try. All right, yeah, let's play on. All right, they get a -2. So they got a 1, we got a 3. So we're going to have initiative for this next round. I'm totally not keeping track over there. I don't even know why I put that thing out. I never keep track of it. All right, let's see what they can do here. I don't know. I mean, they might be able to, like I said, they might be able to swarm. I mean, they probably will risk losing their 2 mechs. I mean, all they have to do is take 1 pip each, and they are in force withdrawal, which would count as crippling, which would give us the bonus. But they have a chance of getting that primary objective, so they should probably keep going. All right, there's the first step of movement. The Panther was up first. Nothing had moved on my side, of course, so it went to cautious movement and picked up on the Banshee, which was the nearest target. It wanted to get 24 inches from this. Obviously, it wasn't going to be able to do that by going this way, so instead I took it that way and tried to get it so the Banshee won't be able to get it in line of sight because it can only move 2 inches this round from the overheat. So that would keep it protected from the Banshee, keeps it protected from the Shrek, which will have to shoot through too many woods to hit it. It will likely have a shot at the Centurion, which is going to have to move over in this direction. I mean, it has to move toward the escape edge, so it's definitely going to get over here somewhere. Then I just had the Shrek stand still. All right, there's the second step. The red warrior wanted to go first. Again, ended up in cautious movement, so picked the Banshee. Wanted to get 18 inches away from the Banshee. I couldn't quite do that. I guess I could have taken it this way. That might have gotten it. But anyway, I took it up this way to get farther away from it, but still have a shot at the Centurion, regardless of where it moved. Also went back up to level 4 to get over those hills. And then I took Marshal Tran this way, just went the full 8 inches. Couldn't quite get into the woods, needed just a little bit more movement to get in there. So she will be a bit vulnerable, but if she survives this round, she will definitely get off on the next round. It's about 7 3/4 inches to get off of the map. So this is it. If she survives, she gets out of here. All right, there's the third step. I changed where the red VTOL went because I realized it was within 6 inches of the infantry, which is just stupid. So I moved it back onto that river. The Desert Warrior was up next, and it pretty much wanted the same kind of thing. Didn't want to be within 12 inches of an unmoved enemy. So I put it right next to the other warrior because that's a good spot for it. It's within 24 inches of the Centurion, and the infantry can't attack it. Then the Hatchet Man, I just sprinted. I couldn't quite get it off the map. It could have gone about right here. So I just took it behind the woods there just to protect it a little bit, but I don't think anything will be attacking it on this round. Probably everything is going to go for the Centurion, if I had to guess. All right, that'll wrap up movement. The Jenner keyed on Marshal Tran. It still has Wood's protection from everything, except maybe the Shrek. I don't know if it actually can see it. I'll have to double check that, but it got it against the Banshee and it got it against the Centurion. Has a high TMM. Going to take its chances here for a shot to take this thing down. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Like I said, they'd have to hit literally everything, and actually they can't because the Panther will only hit for 1 from long range. But it's possible they could get a motive hit or something like that to slow her down. As Lloyd Christmas said, "You're telling me there's a chance. It's all you need. Let's do some combat."
The honorable commander of this planetary militia in his Panther wants to waste his PPC and SRM-4 on the little infantry in the woods over there, but this is my Custom BattleTech Aces campaign. We're not doing any of that. Gonna go after Marshal Tran way off in the distance there. She's gonna get some partial cover, but you never know. Could get a little cockpit hit here from long range.
This is not going to be that bad. Just a 9 to hit 1 damage from long range. Here we go. Gets it. Not going to be a critical hit, but that's another point of armor. The Red Warrior wants the most armor lost. That is Marshal Tran over there. Got a pretty clear shot. Just going to be 7s. And if you're wondering why I didn't put the Hatchet Man in front of her, basically because I don't really care how much damage she suffers, and I think she can make it through this round. Famous last words. And I don't want the Hatchet Man to take any damage. I want to pay less in repairs. This could go down as another one of my brilliant commander decisions. Here we go. Big chance to strip all the armor off the Centurion. Just needs a 7. Oh, just misses. Desert Warrior, same number. Wants the red command list. That's the destroy objective. Needs a 7. Another chance at this. Wow. Rolled another hard 6. I got to go play some craps. No damage. I think she's going to make it off of here. The Jenner needs a miracle. The Jenner is up. It technically wants the lowest armor, which would be the Hatchet Man, but I'm going to override it. Let me know if you don't think I should be doing this, but I mean, come on. This is the objective. This is their way of winning the mission. It seems kind of silly to waste it on a unit that can't win the mission, so it's going to go for the Centurion. 2 damage for medium range. Going to need 8s to hit these. Really needs to hit both. Let's see what happens here. Can they get a miracle? Nope, they just get 1. That's going to take all her armor, but that's not going to be enough to stop her. She will escape on the next round. Does she deserve to escape? That's really what the question is. Maybe we could block her. Maybe the Hatchet Man can get in her way so she can't get off the map. Colonel Mitch Nelson, tired of taking out ground pounders, ready to go for some mechs. Eyeing up the Jenner, highest point value unit for the Draconis Combine. Going to be real bad numbers here with that heat penalty. Going to be 11s to hit this thing. 4 chances to do it here. Just needs 111 to put this thing in force withdrawal. That would count as crippled, I think. Pretty sure that counts as crippled. And of course he gets it. Back to my scouring sands rolling for the 3 Sparks Company. Just craziness. All right, this is going to be a critical hit. That's a 5. That does nothing. Yep, that counts as crippling damage according to the latest version of the Commander's Edition. Half its structure rounded up remaining, which is what it has. Has 3 starting structure, only has 2. That's half of 3 rounded up. Don't you love when I do like 3rd grade math for you on camera? All right, with the Jenner out of the way, or at least counting as crippled, the Shrek is going to go after the Desert Painted Warrior. Going to need 9s to hit. Got 3 chances to do it. This has no armor left, so if any of these hit, it will go into structure. Here we go. Missed everything. All right, Marshal Tran doesn't have a lot of good options here with her fire control hit. Going to just take a shot back at the Panther over there. Man, does that look far away. Going to be an 11 to hit. Only does 1 damage from long range. Just some LRMs coming in. Here we go. Can we get a lucky 11? This would go into structure and do a critical hit. Nah, she's been great this battle, but that was a tough one to hit. The militia commander calling the pursuit off, seeing this as a lost cause, tells his units to retreat. The Jenner runs over the bridge in force withdrawal as Colonel Mitch Nelson chases them down, sending a message, but ultimately letting them run off. Knowing that he has secured his most valuable cargo, Marshal Mira Tran, who now will await her fate as she meets with leadership to discuss her performance on this mission so far. All right, that's where things are going to end. I think at this point, there's really no reason for the Combine forces to be on the map anymore. We could try to hunt down the Panther or one of the Warriors to try to get the bonus objective. I don't think we're going to quite get it. But the problem is the Panther could just kind of go over here and just stay out of line of sight and then eventually get off the map. The Warriors are so hard to hit, and the units that can hit something, which would really just be the Banshee because the other two are going to get off the map. The Shrek could do it, but the numbers are going to be so bad, it's very unlikely. So I think I'm good with just letting this go here. We'll let them run off the map, tuck their tails, and run away, and we will take the W. I'll show you where things ended up. There's Mitch Nelson in the Banshee, just took 1 pip of armor damage. Hard to believe, really. Mira Tran just took all of her armor, but didn't get into structure or anything. Did take a fire control hit. I thought I marked that. My thumb must have wiped it off. Okay, there you go. That's better. Took 1 critical hit. Doesn't matter. We don't have to repair that mech. The Hatchet Man had all of its armor stripped, but luckily didn't take any critical hits. The Shrek did take a motive hit and just 1 pip of armor damage. So all in all, we did well. The infantry didn't take any damage. So that was good. Obviously, the Combine side lost the Savannah Master, the Galleon, and the Maxim. Very surprised those things went down so quickly. For their other units, the Panther lost all of its armor. The Jenner lost all its armor and 1 pip of structure. The Red Warrior was totally fine, and the Desert Warrior, I almost wiped that thing off too, and that had 1 pip of armor damage, so it lost all of its armor. So they're going to have some repairs to do for sure. I mean, we do too. Some of these are pretty good units we need to keep. You know, sometimes with the Banshee, that's where I kind of wish I was using the regular Alpha Strike rules because I could only repair that 1 pip of armor damage. But under the Chaos Campaign rules and the Hinterlands rules, if you want to repair armor damage, you got to just pay the standard armor repair. Oh well, I'll deal with that later. So all in all, a really good performance for us. I rolled like a madman for the 12th Vegan Ranger side. I mean, all these important rolls that happened, especially on the hover tanks, that could have seriously messed things up on the next round if they didn't survive. They were all successful. We just wiped the floor with those things. They never got a chance to do a kamikaze charge. So I think that really helped. If one of those would have hit the destroy objective, that would have been just devastating. Would have been very hard to get her off the map if that would have happened, if she even survived. So, you know, sometimes that's just the way the dice go. I think overall it was fairly balanced. The Banshee maybe was a bit of overkill. That's just such a crazy unit, you know, compared to what they had. Just for this era, it is pretty crazy. But to be honest with you, I did want to put things a little bit in the Rangers' favor here because things just went so disastrously wrong in the last one. And it kind of makes sense that the Colonel would just say, all right, that's it. I'm stepping in now. Enough is enough. And come and kind of send a little bit of message. But I think they were in it. I mean, they definitely were in it. They got that critical hit early. That could have been real bad. So it's not like they weren't in it. It's just the dice did not go well for them. And it went really well for us. Basically the opposite of the last mission. So overall, I think I liked the mission. The escape was fun. I might tweak it a little bit at the beginning. Maybe they should have come on in the first turn, just like we did. I thought they would get to her a little too fast. And I didn't want them just picking at a standstill target. Like she's just sitting here not moving. It would just be so easy for them to get her. But I guess I overestimated how far they could move. And they couldn't really get into line of sight as easily as I thought. So I might tweak that a little bit. I might also, you know, I want to use aces to control the force, but the aces doesn't think about mission objectives or what the player would do or how to think tactically or strategically. It just picks a target and tries to get in line of sight. And that's what the Savannah Master did. It just kind of ran over here to get in line of sight of the Centurion. If I were controlling the force, I probably would have had everything go toward here and then spring the trap once they all could get into range and it wasn't just one unit out there. That was the most appealing target for the Ranger side. So I might have done a little something like that. Gotta put my hill back on there. But otherwise, I think it was a pretty good mission. I would definitely do it again. I think both missions I would definitely keep in my roster, in my stable of missions, and maybe just make some minor tweaks the next time I run them. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I hope you enjoyed the mission. I think it was fairly exciting. I mean, it definitely was a little bit one-sided as things went along, but so was the last one, and I think it was still fun to watch. So hopefully this one was as well. I'll probably just keep making videos for the in-between track stuff for those that are interested. I know not everybody is. It's not everyone's cup of tea to watch spreadsheet stuff, but I will show you what's going on behind the scenes. I will deal with the ransom of the previous units. Those are expensive though, so I don't know. I might just say forget it. We'll see. But yeah, we'll see where things go from here. They're both going to lose some points on this, so the points are going to start dwindling here. Which, as I mentioned in my brainstorming, that's what I want. I mean, it's supposed to be a war of attrition. This is not a war for glory. This is an aggressive operation, and it needs to be completed quickly to win. It can't be a long, drawn-out battle. That's not good for the invaders. So that's what I wanted to simulate here with the Chaos campaign. All right, that'll wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have any comments about this, anything you would do differently, and I'll see you on the next one.